Thank you, Barbara. Our next writer, our final writer tonight, his name is Frank Rutledge. He's a Fox Valley author of poetry and short fiction. He's the current facilitator of the Batavia Library Writers Workshop and hosts Harmonious Howl, the open mic on the fourth Thursday at Grams 318 in Geneva. He's a member of Writers Anonymous, an improv writing group, the St. Charles Writers Group, and the Fox Valley Writers Group in North Aurora. And we would like to thank Frank for being the backbone of our Waterline volunteer efforts. He's here every single month helping us take down, helping us put stuff up. He does all kinds of cool stuff. So Frank, your turn. Come on up here.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm going to read a couple things from the Fox Tales 2 and 1. I do have a couple of copies here, if it is needed. First thing I'm going to read, since we have so many writers here tonight, I think they'd appreciate this. It's a very short poem, but I always got pissed off when I read Williams' poems about the cold plums. So since I can't really speak to him, and we weren't roommates, and he didn't do that to me, I had to write a poem in response to him, and it's called Dear William. This is just to say, those plums you ate and found so sweet and so cold were an experiment and heavily sprayed with pesticide. Forgive me. I work at an insurance company, which is good because Wallace Stevens worked at an insurance company. But besides that fact, being a poet, I never know what's going to strike me for a poem. And we have a little wooden door that we walk out of the office, and there's a little slit in the door with a glass window. And I walked through it for the last 15 years, but one day I was walking, and I thought, oh, somebody's coming this way to open the door. I better move aside so they can get in, and realized it was my reflection. So I wrote The Illusionist. I watch my walking reflection as I approach a window, take on the consistency of ghost. And I want to believe there's another me, and I hope that it's a better 2.0 version me, without the flaws and mistakes, a me stronger without need of so much forgiveness, a me quicker to make wise decisions, able to escape cause and effect of poor choices, a me from which love flows with a stream water grace, gentle and all-encompassing, a me fully in touch with a creator's abilities, from whom wonder, awe, delight, and beauty outshine flesh, like a reflection of a physical being approaching the smooth surface of a window. As the bio said, I'm a member of St. Charles Writers Groups and Fox Valley Writers Groups, and since the leader of the Fox Valley Writers Group is here, this has nothing to do with that group. Writers make terrible readers. Always on the lookout for flaws, unable to see the story for the writing, the beauty of the dance steps for the sawdust on the floor. It's like the woman who judges others' position in life by the shoes they wear, the cook who judges the meal by the table settings, the unbeliever that judges God by the latest fanatical train bombing. There is a book in the H2O gallery that can be purchased after you go over and purchase foxtails off the table called Drawn with Words. It was a project that was done last year with visual artists, and they were paired up with authors. And 2 of my stories were chosen and painted. And the paintings are, to me, better than what I wrote, but it's a beautiful pairing and has a copy of it. I want to read one of them that was chosen, and only because when I get home, I know the cats are going to grill me about whether I read about them. So I have to read Creation Myth. Morning arrives like a shy guest, soft and under the radar of awakening. Sunlight slowly streams across the living room floor, warm and inviting. Both cats know where they need to be for bliss to envelop them, purring. The humans of the house set about their daybreak greetings and ritual ways, married couple growing mindful of all the activities that will dance off pages of calendars. The cats lie long in their furry, leisured luxury, stretching only to plan to do nothing. Morning is the bottom of the roller coaster hill climb that we spend the rest of the day poised between exhilaration and downhill swish of being a busy human. The cats welcome us home, hungry for attention, as if they are the reason we were created. Who's to say we weren't? I always get a kick out of talking heads on CNN. There's so many experts in the world. How come I don't know any of them? So I wrote Panel of Experts. I've hired a panel of experts to plot out the rest of my life. Up until now, my sole efforts have been scattershot and unimpressive. Success elusive. No longer can one rely on raw ambition and the engines of daydreaming to move forward. We live in an age of information, an age where a 28-year-old man can be worth $100 billion for creating virtual cork bulletin board, Facebook. Where'd I go wrong? I've noticed on television and radio that there is a glut of experts on any possible subject. You name it, someone somewhere is an authority. That's precisely what I need. Guidance, an expert, a group of gurus. I'm a seeker, a spinning top, wobbling directionless. If life were as simple as a railroad train, I'd be on track. But instead, it's a schooner at the mercy of the winds. I'm left uncharted with a broken compass. I need a captain and crew familiar with finding safe harbor. I need the validation of an educated consensus. When finally grounded, I need the blessings of those in the know to drop their crumbs of know how along the darkened pathways that I can only guess lead toward the reward return home. Lewis had Clark. Clark had Lewis. Me, I've hired a panel of experts to get me through. Thank you. I was always a whimsical boy growing up in the summer reading Bradbury and all those fun things that boys can do, catching frogs and everything. I spent a lot of my summers in Sandwich, Illinois, and unlike Roger, who has deep and meaningful things about 4th of July, 4th of July just meant fireworks to me. This is called Plans for a Well-Built Summer. Paddleboat rides across the dreamy slow pond float at the pace of a fat, juicy daydream. Watermelon on ice, green, wide picnic fields, greasy meat, potato salad, and charcoal flames. FM music anthems, backbeat-driven games. Lovers sneak off into dusky wooded shadows to touch the secret nature places. Drunken uncles wrestle with 12-ounce habits, cousins like brothers playing imaginary heroes to rescue young princesses from deep lake monsters. Young Jimmy strums the opening chords to Stairway to Heaven on a red acoustic guitar, and the family from grandpa and mother sing along. Evening fades into light's soft remembrance. Horizon dims like a cinema movie screen. Darkened sky splits like a luminous pomegranate. Firework flash and boom weave artificial starlight. Men and women surround each other with arms of love and make Google-eyed wishes on the falling sparks of pinwheel colors, as if it was their first date all over again. On a night like this one, it's simple to imagine that we are all going to live forever, enchanted with life and guarded by thoughts immortal. We are the image of grandeur. Stretch out our arms as our spirits reach to inhabit heavenly bodies. Thank you. And this is called Confessions of a Sad Voyeur. I really don't watch as much TV as I say in this, so don't be frightened. Confessions of a Sad Voyeur. Odd It just struck me how peculiar that for weekend entertainment, I watch hour on top of hour the Food Channel, people eating a variety of foreign edibles and spouting their opinions of taste and texture, yet there is no prayer channel where we can observe the religious in the act of supplication, or a hospital recovery station where we may witness the minuscule movement toward a patient's miraculous healing. Cable TV has replaced my need for action. When during prime time dinner hour, I sit with my voyeuristic appetites, sit in front of a screen eating ramen noodles and Diet Pepsi, and am content to observe mating rituals of bachelors and bachelorettes in all of its glorious high-def drama, observing hour-long episodic unions and rejections of the human animal with commercial breaks. I got upset one time because one of the writers groups I go to, when you've gone there long enough, it almost seems like a dating situation. So I tried to figure out, how do you break up with this writers group? How do I move on to something else? So I wrote Same Old Writers Group Breakup Story. It's not your vernacular, it's mine. When we met, we were full of stories, 2 prose lines sparkling with poetry. Easily, we titillated each other with skilled wordplay. You'd bear your simile as if our lives depended on it. I'd share my entire metaphor until you were a hungry she-wolf satisfied. Everything we did was raw, naked, and unpunctuated. Even in our depths of curiosity, there was never a question mark between us. In the early days, everything was show, don't tell. Let's admit we may have reached our narrative arc. You're strictly fiction, and I'm so nonfiction. Besides, look at your spelling. It is atrocious. Your expositions are bloated and purple, and yet I have stayed as healthy as a haiku. I think we need to take the space of a blank page and some time apart to see other writers. We can still remain friends. I'm not asking for a period. Thank you. And lastly, this is called An Unfinished Past. All of your accumulated years, like dust on grandmother's dresser, sits gray, silent, and still. All of your choices made and choices ignored, all of your best decisions and fallout from your poorest stack up in your blood cells. Your sins and salvations string together in the living strands of your aging DNA. All of your historical self wraps around the skinny presence of your soul, wound like a spiral staircase built for ascension. Thank you.